Hello, this video was created for Social Security Disability ALJs to help them understand why SSR 24 3P became about. I'm Alan Billahus. I'm a vocational expert in Region 4. So, we're going to explore why this new Social Security ruling was introduced, how it modernizes disability adjudication with data from the Occupational Requirements Survey, or ORS. So let's dive in to help you make confident, evidence based decisions in your hearings. First, let's talk about why SSR 24 3P was needed. Its predecessor was SSR 00 4P from 2000. It required you to identify and resolve conflicts between vocational expert testimony and the Dictionary of Occupational Titles, or the DOT. The problem, the DOT hasn't been updated since 1991, and many people always believed it misses modern jobs and uses classification system that doesn't align with today's data sources, like ORS or Occupational Requirements Survey. This made it hard for VEs to provide accurate testimony for you to make fair rulings, often leading to remands or inconsistencies. Now, I understand that everybody wants to say the DOT is outdated, but several occupations were added after the fact unofficially. However, many people don't understand that the DOT was designed for manufacturing and industrial jobs to inform individuals of what was in the world of work. And at the time it was created, manufacturing and industrial jobs was America's primary occupational base. And again, it wasn't designed for white collar jobs. The DOT was always minimal on white collar jobs, and therefore, in the beginning of its history, it didn't record white collar jobs, which are often sedentary and light. Also, it didn't measure enough of unskilled to semi skilled occupations because it was focused on semi skilled and, higher level semi skilled and skilled occupations in the manufacturing base. So, if you're one of those who are saying the DOT is outdated, I want you to think about this occupation: attorneys and judges since the last update. Now, you might say the tools, typewriter, Microsoft Word, personal computers, or the research. In the past, you used the law library, where now you have LexisNexis. These are tools and methodology changes. How has the knowledge changed, though? To a level, would you really say that the DOT description is totally outdated for attorneys and judges? The DOT just wasn't designed and created for Social Security Administration. It was created for industry and the manufacturing arena from its beginning till its end. But since it was so quantitative and somewhat comprehensive, the Social Security Administration adopted it for OHO hearings. The DOT always had limitations for Social Security Administration, even when it was considered up to date. The reason the DOT wasn't designed for Social Security Administration. So, this is why SSR 24 3P was actually needed from the beginning, but the government investment was too great to invest in updating the DOT for the Social Security Administration, but now they have seen their way, and now we're dealing with ORS data. Enter SSR 24 3P, effective January 6, 2025. This ruling rescinds SSR 00 4P and changes the game. It removes the requirement to resolve conflicts between VE testimony and the Dictionary of Occupational Titles. Instead, it allows VEs to use any reliable occupational data source like ORS, OEWS, or ONET, as long as it's relevant under Social Security Administration rules. See 20 CFR 404.1566D and 416.966D. The goal is to modernize disability adjudication so that your decisions reflect today's labor market, ensuring fairness in our non adversarial process. However, everything the VE does is up to cross examination. And this is where a lot of ALJs have hesitation in that the representative can basically bring about any attacks unless you have firm, hard data. However, with SSR 24 3P, these new occupational data sources, they're being attacked on reliability. First off, let me address the ONET. This isn't ONET training, but I'm here to tell you do not take ONET testimony from a VE unless the VE is totally aware and knows what the ONET was and how it was created. Do not allow a representative to bully the court or a VE about what is in the ONET or what the ONET says. 95% of the time, ONET data is totally inappropriate for Social Security hearings and use. The goal of SSR 24 3P is to modernize the disability adjudication for fairness and accuracy. ORS data captures more sedentary and light occupations. ORS data captures more of the unskilled and semi skilled occupational base. ORS data captures more white collar and office jobs. From the beginning, the DOT was not designed to capture unskilled, sedentary, light, white collar occupational base. It was designed for manufacturing and industrial occupations, which is why there was always major issues. ORS Data. The Occupational Requirements Survey, a joint project between the Social Security Administration and the Bureau of Labor Statistics, provides current, statistically valid information and data on job demands, like how much standing, lifting, or cognitive effort a job requires. Unlike the DOT's static, job specific entries, ORS uses standard occupational classification codes or SOC codes to a group of similar occupations, reflecting the modern economy. For example, ORS can tell us what percentage of jobs in a group can require lifting up to 25 pounds or less, which is critical for matching claimants' abilities at step 4 and step 5 of the Social Security Administration's evaluations process. It can also tell us about skills and skill level so that we have more unskilled SPP 1 and 2 jobs based off this ORS data. Let's take a quick look at ORS versus DOT differences. So now we're going to take a quick look at how ORS differs from the DOT. This is key into understanding SSR 24 3P. The ORS is managed by the Social Security Administration and the Bureau of Labor Statistics. It doesn't gather all 72 working traits for a specific DOT or even a SOC group. However, the DOT did collect 72 worker traits for each and every DOT it listed, and all of these was done by an individual job analysis. Now, many of these jobs had multiple job analyses, and they congregated them into one, but there was a physical job analysis where a government worker was at the work site doing the job analysis. So I'll clarify this more in future videos on ORS data. Currently, the DOT measures all 72 worker traits for every occupation through a detailed job analysis. In contrast, ORS focuses on certain traits within a SOC group. So ORS is only looking at certain traits that they know are going to be a present or are important in a SOC group, and that's what they're going to put into their questionnaire. They're not going to ask an office worker about being exposed to extreme heat or extreme cold or weather conditions when they already know they're inside the office 24/7. to give you an idea why not every trait is asked for by the ORS. So, by using a questionnaire that is answered by employers, usually bosses or HR professionals, sometimes lead workers, but this is not a job analysis by the federal government. This is analysis by the employers. This shift reflects federal agencies' move to a SOC system, which aggravates occupational data at a higher level. Some SOC codes match a single DOT, but the vast majority of them cover multiple DOTs. This gives us a broader but less granular view of the occupation. This difference is why ORS better suits today's diverse labor market, and we'll explore this further. But this goes back to why you ask as performed versus as generally performed. It's the same thing. The DOT lists the maximum expected requirements of occupations, not the range, so you can look at that more as performed. Whereas with the SOC codes and the ORS, they're looking as generally performed and they're looking at the range. This brings us to a major paradigm shift with ORS data versus the Dictionary of Occupational Titles or DOT data. The DOT lists the maximum expected requirements of occupations and not the range. Think of this as a hard quantitative ceiling, like lifting 50 pounds. That's the max, that's the top limit. No more, no less. ORS data, however, measures a range of expected requirements across an occupational base, such as lifting between 10 and 30 pounds. What percentage of this occupational base only lifts 10 pounds? What percentage of the same occupational base lifts up to or less than 30 pounds? This is a big game changer. Up to now, you are used to a single maximum number, but life and occupations and work are all on a spectrum. You will need to get comfortable with this range based approach. And yes, representatives are going to be challenging this spectrum. They prefer the old maximum standard because the old maximum standard limits the number of jobs that were available. This new standard of ORS data is going to open up vast amounts of jobs at the unskilled sedentary level, at the unskilled light duty level. So, embracing this range will align your decisions with real job availability, and these are things we're going to look at and build on in the future. The use of ORS data is going to be an absolute game changer. It's going to allow for more fairer hearings. But the fact is, representatives are going to hate it. Why? Because you're going to find out that there's a lot more sedentary, unskilled jobs available in the job market. You are going to find out that there's a lot more light duty, unskilled jobs in the labor market. Whereas with the DOT was extremely weak in this area, and because it wasn't designed to measure those jobs, ORS data is going to be capturing them. And therefore, once it becomes more popular in use, representatives are going to fight tooth and nail not to use ORS data. Right now, they're having a field day with SOC codes attacks. Not with me, of course, but that's how it is. So, what are the benefits for ALJs? And what does this mean for claimants? What does this mean for you as an ALJ? SSR 24 3P will empower you to be more flexible in your decision making. Once you have reliable VE testimony based on current job data and you understand how that data is arrived at and how it's measured by the Social Security Administration and Bureau of Labor Statistics, you'll be more comfortable using ORS data. VEs can provide a precise information about jobs a claimant can perform, reducing the risk of remands due to outdated DOT conflicts. This enhances fairness for claimants in the Social Security Administration's non adversarial hearings. For instance, if a claimant is limited to lifting, a lot of times you use 20 pounds, but in your hypothetical, you can go up to 25 pounds. ORS data will help VEs identify jobs that truly fit the hypothetical. And you can rely on that testimony with confidence because it's backed up by ORS statistics and questionnaires. So now you have a basic understanding why SSR 24 3P was introduced to bring disability adjudication up into the 21st century with tools like ORS data. In our next video, we will cover why you need to ask clarification questions to ensure the VE's testimony is reliable. Check out Social Security Administration or SSA.gov for the full SSR 24 3P text, or you can start looking at ORS data yourself. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and like the video so that you'll know when the next video comes out. If you have any questions, you can put them down in the comments or you can contact me here. I want to thank you for watching and see you in the next video.